but I don't have any embarrassing stories today, so don't worry. I used to live here and I moved to Florida, so I live in Fort Myers. I'm a special education teacher, so I work with kids that have autism, kids that have all different needs in school. And here I am to teach you a little bit of what I've learned throughout the years from the Christian perspective, okay? So some of you might not care about this topic so much, but I promise you when I was your age, I didn't care either. But God put me in a position where He wanted me to learn about it, and I was fighting it so much, and after I was fighting God, I stopped fighting God, and I fell in love with this. So that's why I'm here today, okay? Also, I usually look much lighter, but I just came back from Cancun, so if I look much darker, this is the reason. Do we have, Raymond, are you going to click for me? Alright, so these are the 3 main points that I'm going to be discussing today. After we're done with the presentation, we have a fun little thing that we're going to do, and then kind of a little very quick craft that we're going to do. Also, I have some airheads. I don't think you can be old enough for airheads, so if you're participating, you're going to get some, and I also have some Starburst. So if you like candy, you just need to pay attention, that's all, okay? Any questions before I start? No? We're good? Question? No? Alright. So those are the 3 main points I'm going to have today. Who are individuals with special needs? That's my first point. My second point is how to appropriately approach these individuals. And number 3 is what do we do when an uncomfortable situation rises? I know you guys are in schools. I know lots of uncomfortable things happen, and it's extremely hard to stand out and say a comment that makes people look at you like, why did you say that? A lot of times as Egyptians, we have comments in our heads or things that our parents have taught us to do, but we don't want to share because I don't want to stand out, okay? Raise your hand if you agree. If that happens at your school, when you're in a classroom, somebody says something and you're like, nope, I'm not going to say it because they're going to think I'm the weirdo. Just them two, Mira and Liz, that's it? You guys never come across uncomfortable situations? Okay. All right. If you attend our church, you see people daily basis doing things that you're like, this is not what we do in my house. Sleepovers, going to a friend's house at different times of the day, any of those things, your parents obviously most of the time say no to. So same thing with being in an environment where there's special needs. Maybe you come across a situation you're like, I don't know what to do. You have the Christian perspective ringing in your head, and you also have, oh, well, everybody just made fun of that kid, so I'm going to do it too. Why not? So this is why we're here today, to talk and discuss. And if you have any comments, please let me know so I can help you and I can maybe learn with you because I don't know everything, okay? So who are individuals with special needs? If you can't see the screen and you want to turn, this is going to give you a better perspective. I also have it. I can email it to anybody that needs, okay? So these are different, like 4 different parts that somebody might have. Physical, so a kid or an individual that has a muscular dystrophy, so they have problems with their muscles. They can't control their muscles. Multiple sclerosis, if they have epilepsy, so anything physical, okay? So something physically. What is the blue one that we see there? What is something you see in the blue? What is it? Go ahead.
Down syndrome.
Down syndrome, thank you. So Down syndrome is one. Okay, what else do we see in there? Autism, very good. Who said autism? You said autism? All right, thank you. So I work with a lot of students that have autism. It's a lot common nowadays than it was back like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Why is it more common? Does anybody know why are some of those things maybe more common? Special needs? Anybody?
Because they have rights, the rights are like more right now.
Say that one more time.
Like عندهم حقوق أكتر في الوقت ده.
Very good. And don't hold. So they have rights now. So parents are being aware of, oh, my child can receive services. My child can get help in school. Very, very right. Also, we have education as adults, as individuals. We are learning so many things. 20, 30 years ago, you would have to go to the library to check out a book to learn. And then once you check out the book, you have to give the book to a friend so they can read that same book. Now, what do most of us do? If you don't know a certain word, what do? You Google it within 2 seconds. If I say a word you don't know, within 2 seconds you will know the meaning. You will know different examples about it. So it's very easy. So people now know when they see the signs or symptoms, they're aware, oh, does this kid have autism? Mom texts another mom and say, oh, I noticed that your child is stimming a lot. Mom doesn't know what a stimming is. She Googles it. Okay? So those are some of the things that people know now that we didn't know back then. Okay? If somebody thinks my presentation is hilarious, please let me know what part is hilarious so I can share with everybody. Okay? Behavioral emotional. So if somebody has ADD, if somebody has ADHD, somebody has dyslexia. Anybody knows what is dyslexia? Go ahead, tell me what is it.
I think it's like where the words are like mixed up.
Beautiful, very, very good. So dyslexia is somebody says the word where the letters are flat, okay? So the beginning letter is switched with the last letter, and people that have dyslexia, they don't realize that they're reading wrong. Somebody has to tell them, says this is the word, this is G-O-D, not D-O-G. They literally see the words flipped in their eyes, like they're reading the words flipped, okay? So this is dyslexia. This is in schools. This is very common now. It used to not be common because people used to say, "Oh, they're just a slow reader. They don't know how to read. They're gonna learn." But it's a disorder that some children and some adults have, and they have ways to help those people to learn it and be better with it. And the last one is sensory impaired. What is something you see in there that's very common, or you might be familiar with? Blind. So people that are blind, so I serve a lot in the special needs convention through our diocese. And if you're interested in that, I will give you details about it. But I had one of the students I worked with 2 years ago, he was blind. And it was my first encounter working with somebody blind because we are so dependent on our vision, crazy, and we don't think about it. But if you close your eyes for more than 20 seconds and I tell you walk around and go grab a snack and come back, you're gonna feel annoyed. You're gonna feel very frustrated. So this is not a high number of individuals, but it's very frustrating. It's such a frustrating need to have. Hearing aids or being deaf. I have students currently wearing hearing aids, and guess what? The hearing aids, they have batteries, and when those batteries die, guess what those students are struggling with?
Hearing.
They can't hear nothing, okay? So I know some of us might have grandparents that have this as a need, and this is something I'm gonna touch on also. Special needs, you're not always born with it. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. Special needs, you're not always born with it. I'm going to share a personal story in a little bit about how some individuals are born without any special needs, and the special needs arises as they get older, okay? Can we go to the next slide, please? So these are some statistics that we have. I'm gonna ask to see, each person can read one for us, please. Who would like to read the one in purple? Anybody? I'm sure all of you can read beautifully. You wanna read? All right, go ahead.
7.3 million disabled students in the U.S. made up to 15% of national public school enrollment during the 2021 to 2022 school year.
Very good. So 15% of the students, thank you for reading, 15% of the students, they have some sort of a special need. Whether it's dyslexia, whether it's autism, whether it's being blind, any of those different things, and much more that I didn't even discuss today. All right, who can read the blue one for us? Much shorter, go ahead.
Many school and districts struggle to hire special education professionals.
Very good. So I work as a special needs teacher in my school, and I get $0 extra for being a special education teacher compared to a regular teacher. Okay? So if you work as a regular teacher that has regular students that have no extra needs that they need, you don't get less money than a special education teacher. And that's why a lot of the teachers that I would say maybe not Christian or they don't have those values, they're like, why do I go through the struggle of a kid that, you know, has to be in diapers and they're 12 years old? Because there's those situations. So they're like, I'd rather just deal with a student that knows how to do everything, and I give them the book and I give them the quiz and be done with it, okay? So you don't get extra money for teaching kids that have special needs, okay? Some of the school districts do it now as a courtesy, or they give them some perks, but it's not very common, at least in the United States, okay? Who can read the one in pink for us? Anybody?
Rebecca.
Can you read it for us, please?
Students with autism made up 12% of the nation's school children with disabilities in 2021 to 2022, compared with 1.5% in 2001.
All right, very good. So the percentage of students with autism is rising because, again, parents have more awareness. and teachers have more awareness. So at a very young age, they do something called early intervention. So they're like, oh, I see this student, they make a lot of noises with their mouth, but they're not 3 and 4, they're 7 and 8. Okay, now let's look into it. And there's a lot of assessments that can be given, so parents are able to find out at an earlier age that their student or their child has a special need, so they're able to help them at a younger age. And then the very last information in the orange, who can read it for us? Rebecca. Okay. Go ahead, he picked you.
In 2019, children living in poverty are more likely to have a disability than children living above the poverty threshold.
All right, very good. Who can tell me why this is? The children in poverty, they have a higher, more chance that they have more special needs than kids that come from good homes. They have everything. Why would that be? Kind of like a little tricky. Go ahead.
Nutrition.
Beautiful. Moms, when they are pregnant, before they even get pregnant, they need something called prenatal vitamins. Those prenatal vitamins, the environment that they live in, it affects the baby. So when the mom is living in poverty, she's not getting enough food, she's not getting enough vitamins, she's living in stress, she has to work 3 different jobs to provide for her baby, she's not getting enough sleep, she might be exposed to drugs, she might be exposed to nasty chemicals. All those things affect who? The baby in womb, okay? So that's why the poverty kind of aligns with that, because they're exposed to so much worse. Versus, I want you to think of like a princess that lives and has 10 people serving her. She's not getting exposed to a lot of hard work. She's not exposed to chemicals like cleaning the floor or anything like that. So she's not at a higher demand or a high risk of receiving any of those things. It could happen, but it's a much lower percentage, okay? Next slide, please. All right, this is my favorite photo. If you have me on Facebook, this is my profile picture because I got to meet this guy. Anybody knows him or seen him?
Yeah.
All right, he is literally like, I was the Control Freak fan. I was at a conference at my job, and my school is not a special needs school. So they didn't have anything made specifically for special needs. I gave a talk about special needs, but that was about it. He was the guest speaker, and I thought he was going to be joining online. I didn't think he was going to be in there in person. And the morning I found out he was there, I jumped out of bed and I showered in like 2 seconds. I went down and I stood outside the room he was in, waiting to meet him. And one of the assistants at the conference, she's like, no, you can't meet him because he has a busy schedule. I'm like, okay. I walked off. I'm like, you don't know the Egyptian that's here. So I waited until he gave his talk, and I waited right outside his room. And the second he was about to get out, I was that fan, and I was like, I need to take a picture. I love you so much. And the smile and the attitude Nick had, I've never seen it with anybody else. This guy is more thankful than anybody I've seen. I would say the closest I've seen are the monks in the monastery. You ask him, like, any question, he's like, yes, with the grace of God, and I'm so blessed, and I love you guys, and I'm so blessed, I have so many things. Well, he doesn't have arms and he doesn't have legs. So I don't know what so many things could be, but this guy is more thankful than anybody I have met. He has everything God gave him is physically not a lot, but he gave him the spirit. So I felt like it was an honor for me to meet him, and I want to share with you guys that his story is online. You can Google it. It's on YouTube. You can learn so many things about him. But I just wanted to share that, you know, this happened. So if we can read what it says on here. It says, God permits the range of physical imperfections and birth defects and mortality to provide all with opportunities to choose, act, serve, and love, and be inspired, humble, and grateful. Because the question I've always struggled with, why does God create people with special needs? He loves us. He's so loving. God is so amazing. We always talk about God's grace, God's love. Well, why does he give some of us abilities to move, to run, to talk, to think, and he doesn't give it to other people? And the reason, it's not about them, it's about us. To give us the ability to serve them, to love them, to connect with them. And I think once you understand that and once you feel that, you will have a different interaction with individuals that have special needs. Okay? Any questions so far? No? Anybody has been kind of impressed with Nick and like might want to meet him? Yeah, he does conferences. He does some conferences. I know he lives in Dallas actually. So he's married and he has children. And his wife and his children, they don't have any special needs. So if you are not familiar with him, look him up. He's Australian. She has a little bit of an accent. So if you're familiar with accents, you might enjoy watching them. I want us to all read this verse together. So if you can't see the screen, just turn for a second and let's read the verse in blue together, please. Go ahead. And the eye
Say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. No, much rather those members of the body which seem to be weaker are necessary.
Okay? So this is very important because sometimes we see us as perfect, and I don't need, why do I need to go talk to a kid with special needs? Why do I need to interact with them? I'm fine, I'm good. And it's not that, again, it's to give us the heart to serve, and we're all part of Christ, the body. So if you look at the next picture, we're all one part, we're all different parts of the body. So if we understand that, if we truly, truly feel it, then we're gonna know that these are people, these are humans that God created to make us feel the body of Christ. So once you understand that, it's much easier for you to be able to serve and to learn from them, because there's so many characteristics that we can learn from individuals with special needs that we don't have. Okay? Next slide, please. Number 2 is how to appropriately approach these individuals. Okay? So it says a smile is contagious. Let's start and attempt. Okay? Smile. That's all what you need to do. I want to see everybody's pretty smile right now. Even the boys. You have very handsome smiles. Let me see. I see it. Okay. Smile. That's all what you need to do. If you come across an individual with special needs, if you walk in the mall and you see somebody with a missing leg and they're limping, you don't have, I'm not saying go help them. I'm not saying go talk to them. Smile. Because a lot of people, what they do is they stare. Why? Why do we stare? A smile could be as simple as making their day, because guess what? They get a lot of stares every day. So a smile is all what you could do and start with to be able to give them the message that God loves you. I'm not saying go to the mall and go preach and give them Bible and be like, come to our church, St. Mark and prosper, it's really cool. Like, you don't have to do that. Just a smile, it sends them to the message. They might see the cross you might be wearing in your necklace, or they might see have seen you somewhere before and they're like, oh, I know this kid. They go to church and they start making the association that God loves me. Okay? So here we should have a cheerful heart, and we should give, but we don't have to give money, because a lot of them might not need money, right? They just need somebody being genuine to them, and they need somebody to be able to show them that I care about you. Okay, so I need an example from somebody here. Just kind of think of an example. If you encounter with somebody at your school that has a special needs, whether it's autism, whether they're limping because they have a missing leg, or whatever the case might be, what is something that you could do that's not extremely hard? I'm sure. Smile. Thank you. You were paying attention. Look at that. Very good. So a smile could be as simple as they see your facial expression, okay? And the goal is that other people that see them, okay, they smile too. They don't give them that nasty look, okay? All right, go ahead to the next slide, please. All right, so here are 3 different things that we could do. What does number 1 say? Ask questions. You can ask them, oh, like once you get a conversation with them, oh, was this a car accident? Were you born that way? It's okay to be curious and to find out how they get that disability, okay? Or if you see a mom at the mall and you see a little kid that's wearing headphones, okay? They're called canceling headphones, the noise canceling headphones. You can be like, oh, does your child get bothered by loud music? Is that why he has to wear it? So it's okay to ask questions. It just depends how you ask it. Because sometimes be like, oh, does he have to wear those all the time? Well, that's a weird or annoying way to ask, okay? So asking, and then number 2 goes with it. What does it say, number 2? Be compassionate, okay? May I help you carry your groceries? Some people have special needs. They actually don't like extra help because they've been trained to be independent 100%, that they know how to get out of their van, they know how to hop on their wheelchair, they know how to buy groceries, and they know how to get back, and they go back in their car with 0 help. They've been trained that way, and they like it that way. Other people, they might need the help. So you just ask. If they say, no, thank you, I got it, you say, you're welcome, have a great day. Simple. Okay, so being compassionate, asking questions. Number 3, it's common but not so common. What is number 3? Common sense. I have a personal story, and I will tell the story, and if the person hears the story, I hope that they just kind of remember it. But I told you I serve at a special needs convention. So the 1 year I had my angel, the angel that was blind, he couldn't see. His mom puts him in glasses, like sunglasses, just for cosmetics because his eyes, they kind of have like a crust on them. So she puts sunglasses on him just for like cosmetics, okay? So we all understand? So one of the servants with me, he sees him walking around with those glasses indoor and he says, "Why are you wearing those? It's not sunny in here." I was very close to hurting that servant. Like, I was about to hurt him because I was so annoyed I'm like, you're volunteering at a special needs convention. Like, it doesn't come across your mind to like be more sincere, even if it's a regular kid wearing sunglasses, to be like, "Hey buddy, like, do you want to take off your sunglasses?" But the way he said it was so annoying. And if I was that child's mom, I would have left the retreat. I would have just been, it was day one, and I would have been like, "I'm done. These people are so rude." So common sense is not so common to some people. So before you say something, kind of think about it in your head. Like, does this mom want to hear this? Does this person want to hear that comment? And if the answer is no, zip it. Like, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say nothing. And I tell that to my daughter all the time. She's 4, and sometimes she says comments, and I'm like, just don't even say it, okay? So kind of use that common sense to be courteous to those people, okay? I want us to be able to read Luke 8:43 and through 48. So if we can, I know you guys have phones, I've seen them all. So if you could get them out, please. It's gonna be so much quicker when we read together. All right, I see lots of Snapchat, I have it too, so no judgment. All right, so Luke 8:43 through 48. And I want us to read it together, okay? All right, let me show you, okay? All right, you guys are ready? 1 second, all righty.
No estamos listos.
We're gonna read in English, no Coptic today.
Why are you trying to get home?
All right. All right, ready guys? We're gonna go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1. Now a woman having a flow of blood for 12 years, who had spent all her livelihood on physicians and could not be healed by any, came from behind and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" When all denied it, Peter and those with him said, "Master, the multitudes throng and press you and say, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus said, "Somebody touched me, for I preserved power from me." Now, she's not hidden. She came trembling and falling down before him. She declared to him in the presence of all the people the reason she had touched him and how she was healed immediately. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." All right? So I wanted us to kind of read an example from the Bible of somebody that had, I wouldn't say disability, but at that time, that lady couldn't do anything. She was considered impure, basically. She couldn't be near anybody. All the people thought she had something wrong with her or she was extremely sinful. That's why that bleeding continued for how many years? 12 years. For 12 years. So I can't imagine. I've had blisters on my hand. Like, my daughter broke my Apple Watch and my finger was bleeding for a week and I couldn't deal with it. Like, I was so done. So I can't imagine for years you were continuously bleeding, and it's not just that, but people think you're disgusting. So I can't imagine that hearing is not the best combo to have. Plus, women at that time, they weren't being perceived as like a higher people in the community to begin with. So many things were talked about her. She was looked at in a bad way. And I wanted us to kind of see how Jesus, like, he knew that she touched him. So he knew that she got close. And he immediately did what?
He asked who did that.
He asked who did that, and what happened to that woman? She got healed, okay? And I'm not here talking about the people that have autism or the people that have blindness. Yes, they can pray and they can get healed, but here I'm talking about our own healing. Sometimes we think of those people as lower than us, and there's so much wrong with them and they're disgusting, but honestly, it's us that we're not pure, we're not good, we're not healed, and we need to get closer to God. Because once we get closer to him, we're going to realize and see how the individuals, the angels, that what we call them at the convention, we call them angels, they're so much closer to God than us, okay? Next slide, please. All right, number 3 is what do you do when an uncomfortable situation arises, okay? You're at school, you're in a lunch room, and you have an individual that's wearing maybe the head-canceling headphones, and all of your lunch table, they're laughing at that kid and they're pointing. Get up and go sit with that kid. Get up and say, guys, I'm not gonna do this. This is not okay with me. Okay? Just get up. Stand up for that individual. Okay? Here it says never laugh at someone's situation because you just never know if somebody will find yourself in a very same position. Okay? I have a story here. One of the kids I teach at my Sunday school at my church. She was a perfect girl, born perfect, runs, jumps, swims, does everything perfectly. And she was in a car with her mom and her brother one day, and they got in a car accident, and she is paralyzed waist to down. She is in a wheelchair. She does everything in her wheelchair. Her mom has to take her to the bathroom to change her because she has zero control from here down. So she was fine. She was I believe 6 years old when it happened, so she was obviously potty trained. She uses the bathroom by herself. I used to go to her house. She runs. She does everything. And they actually used to watch my daughter when she was first born because of COVID. And within a day, her life was turned upside down. And this girl, I serve her now. She's in my Sunday school class. And I just want you to think, if God forbid this happens to not you or somebody that you love, how would you want that to be perceived? How do you want the people to look at that person in a wheelchair? This room right now is not made for somebody to come in a wheelchair and come and join us. If you look around, this room is not. So in order for us to have somebody come in a wheelchair, a lot of us would have to get up. So kind of think about that. If you have somebody at your school and maybe all the desks are crowded and they have to walk in roll their chair into your classroom, kind of think about what that looks like. A lot of us, when we go park, maybe if it's raining, we want to use the handicap spot, right? I don't want to do it. It's closer, right? Kind of think about if a mom has maybe 2 kids, one is in a stroller and another child that's in a wheelchair, how difficult it is for her to roll that car from across the street because one of us was a little too lazy. Okay? So kind of just being aware, having that common sense, having that courtesy, and act quick. If you have done something mean to somebody, maybe if you said a comment, again, I use the school example a lot because we spend a lot of our time at school, you can change it. You can, you're going to start a new school year. That same person, you can be like, hey, bud, I know last year I wasn't the nicest, but I wasn't really aware of what you have. So kind of build that relationship with them. If you have somebody at the church here, I'm not sure about the congregation, but if you know somebody, maybe their son or their daughter is dyslexic in school and they have all Fs, maybe try to find a way to help them. They have like different gadgets that you can get them and teach them how to use it. So we're on Amazon and Google pretty much all day. So we can, teach them and have them be aware of those things, okay? I think this was the end, but I could have something. All right, this here is one of my favorite stories. We don't have to read it all, but whose story do you guys see? David and Goliath. Very good. All right. So David and Goliath is one of my favorite stories because David, how old was David when this story happened? Anybody knows?
20.
Okay, 20?
He was a kid.
Yeah. It doesn't, in the Bible, it doesn't say the specific age. So I don't want to say 20 is correct, but he was younger than 20. So some resources say 17. Some resources say 20, but he was a very young man, like I would say high school age basically. And he beat somebody that was much, much stronger than him, much larger in size than him, somebody that was much trained than him. How many years was David in the army for?
0.
Thank you, 0 years. He had 0 military knowledge. He had 0 military experience. He had 0 everything. He was literally a young boy that would have to do what?
Follow.
Yeah, just walk. He would literally watch the sheep because nobody else would do it. Okay? He was a shepherd and he was a very young shepherd. But in this picture here, all the strength he had was from God. And he was able to do what to Goliath?
Kill him.
He was able to kill him. Very good. So obviously we all know the story. I don't want us to go and read it, but I want you to kind of understand that with God, we have the strength that David had. With God, we have the strength that David had. So if you're at school and you see a big group of friends, they're all making fun of a kid that has special needs or even a regular kid and they're bullying him, you could be the David. You could be like, guys, I'm not okay with this. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go have a talk with this kid because you're making fun of him. Or I'm going to stay after school today because I don't have basketball. I'm going to go sit with this kid and we're going to do homework together. So you have that ability just like David did. Okay? So I want you to kind of think about that and have this visual in your head all the time when you feel like, well, if I get up right now, they're not going to think I'm cool. And they might not put me in the team of whatever. Okay? So kind of think about that when you're encountering those hard situations. Okay? I think this is it. This is my email. I have Facebook if anybody wants to reach me. If you have questions, we can stay after. If somebody's curious about what I do for like my job, or if somebody